Sorry, we got disturbed. We'll continue from an old or weak person. Old or weak person who does not have the strength to wait to eat until the time when the congregation is finished praying and leaves the synagogue, especially on Shabbos and Yontif, Shabbos and holidays, when the prayers are very lengthy. It is better to permit him to pray Shachris at his ease in his house before eating. In other words, he will miss davening Shemoneh Esrei B'tzibur. He will miss the main part of the prayer service, davening with the whole congregation, which is a very big mitzvah. But it's better he should pray at home and eat before he goes to services. And after praying, he can recite Kiddush and eat something. Afterwards, he should go to the synagogue and follow along with the congregation while they pray the Shachris service, the earliest service, which he already had said at home by himself. So why would he be coming to the congregation? The answer is he would be coming to say Amen and Baruch Hu and Kedusha, as the Bir Halacha in 89:3 says. And he should then pray the Musaf service together with them. It is better to do this and not have to drink coffee with sugar or the like, without first accepting upon himself the yoke of the kingship of heaven through prayer. Okay. However, for health reasons, it is permitted to eat or drink before the prayers, and this is talking about always. However, you should make sure to say the Shema so that it shouldn't pass the time of saying the Shema, which is brought down in Mishnah Berurah 89:22 and Bir Halacha 89:3. Since eating for one's health does not constitute an expression of arrogance, obviously. Okay. Likewise, if one is hungry or thirsty, even if he's a healthy person, and cannot concentrate properly on his prayers without eating or drinking, in this case, he too may eat or drink before the prayers. So we have three exemptions: an elderly person or that's not well, someone who happens to be not well then, but he's usually okay, and a third person who just happens to be hungry. He may eat or drink before the service. The main thing is that he should make sure not to transgress the time of the saying the Shema. And in the case of Shabbos, he goes to the services in the shul after and partakes in the Musaf service. Number 3, paragraph 3. Some authorities say that even if a person arose at midnight and is remaining awake all night, in other words, it is forbidden for him to eat anything before the prayers, and it is proper to follow this stringent opinion. So says the Kitzer, but I don't know if too many people follow this. However, if one is weak, it is permitted for him to eat or drink something to strengthen his body to be able to study Torah. Paragraph 4. Regarding water, as well as tea or coffee, without sugar and without milk, this is his view. The law is that it is permitted to drink them before the Shachas prayer. This is permitted even after daybreak, because drinking these beverages before prayers is not considered an expression of arrogance. As he said before, this whole issue of eating or drinking before services, the sages derived from a verse that speaks about being arrogant, doing your own thing before speaking to your Creator. But these things are not a problem with that. Even on Shabbos and holidays, when one is obligated to recite the Kiddush before eating, it is permitted to drink these beverages before the prayers, although one did not yet recite Kiddush. In other words, after the prayers, one has to make Kiddush, but before the prayers, he may have a coffee or a tea. And the obligation to recite Kiddush, the obligation to recite Kiddush does not prevent him from doing this. The reason for this is as follows. Since before the recitation of the prayers, the time of the obligation to recite Kiddush has not yet arrived, because Kiddush can only be recited in the place where the meal will be eaten, meaning immediately preceding the Shabbos and Yantav meal, and one may not eat a meal before the morning prayers due to the prohibition of eating before Shachris. So therefore one can have a coffee even if one usually doesn't drink coffee then. Okay. Number 5, before morning service, it is forbidden to come up to another at his door, to go to his house, in other words, to greet him. Even a parent, Mishnah Berurah in 89:10 says, if it entails going out of his way to do so, and to say Shalom Aleichem. Even to say good morning would be prohibited in such a case. And the sages derive this from a verse in Yeshayahu 2:22. However, if he met someone by chance, according to the halacha, one is permitted to greet him then. But it is proper to change his usual way of greeting him. In other words, one should only say good morning and not Shalom Aleichem. This greeting is permitted in the case of a chance encounter, but not when going out of one's way to offer a greeting. Okay. The reason is so that his friend should notice that it is forbidden to be busy with other things until one prays. If one is greeted by somebody else, he may respond even before having said the blessings of the Berachas HaShachar. This is in Mishnah Berurah 89:16. Okay, 6, the last paragraph of chapter 8. It is forbidden even for one to begin a Torah study session from daybreak. However, one who regularly goes to shul to pray, and therefore there is no concern that he will miss the time of prayer, it is permitted for him to learn before morning service. And likewise, one who learns Torah with others, he has a class, and if he would not learn with them now before Shachris, the learning session will be canceled. It is permitted for him to learn with them before prayers, due to the great merit involved in learning Torah with others. However, they must take care that they do not miss the set time of the Shachris prayers. Let's just look a little bit at some of the less stringent views about eating and drinking before davening, and a number of other things. Okay. We'll go back to this chapter 8, but the first paragraph. We spoke about not going out for business or going on a trip before praying. However, in a case where there is a train or a plane or a bus that he has to make and they won't be waiting for him, then he's allowed to go. That's how the Rav brings down, Rav Shulchan Aruch. In paragraph 3, we learned that some authorities hold that if one wakes up at midnight, he already is not allowed to eat until after the morning prayers. The Rav Shulchan Aruch says that's only within a half hour before Alayis HaShachar, the first rays of the morning star, the first earlier time that we spoke about in the beginning here, but not since from midnight. When is it prohibited to go to your friend's house, going out of your way to say Shalom Aleichem to your friend, to greet your friend? That's only from the Amayla Shacha, from the earlier time that we spoke about in the beginning over here. Now, in the last paragraph that we just learned, we learned that one who learns with others has a public class, and if they won't learn then, they won't be studying Torah So the merit of the group of the people, the mitzvah, is so great. So he's allowed to study then before the morning service, as long as he makes sure not to transgress the time of prayer. There's a certain time that, by that time, one has to daven shachas. However, the Rav Shulchan learned that even if he will transgress the time of prayer, it's fine. Learn a few more things over here. It's chapter 8. About not starting work before the morning service or going anywhere, going on a trip. So the Maskar Shulchan quotes the Rav Shulchan Aruch and the Beis Yosef and the Pri Megadim, who say that still in all, one may either cut his hair or take a haircut. Since this is not a common thing, so it's fine. So the sages didn't say you're not allowed to. Now, about going on a business trip or going on a journey or whatever it might be, there are those that are also lenient about doing these things even before the service. Just they should say the morning brachas, morning blessings that we learned about yesterday, and that's enough. Though it's better to be stringent, but if one has to go on a trip or has to do something, then that's definitely permitted, as the Ramah brings down and as the Rav Shulchan Aruch brings down. If someone started eating before Alois HaShacha, before that earlier time that we learned about, even if he was allowed to then, he should stop when it comes to Alois HaShacha. Okay. Now again, one who feels weak, for sure if someone is not well, these things do not pertain to him, and I just want to stress it so much because there are so many people walking around that don't have koyach, and they feel weak, and they start feeling dizzy, and it's a whole thing, and definitely they may, if not eat, at least drink something, and it's not a problem at all, as the Shulchan Aruch brought down. Now, we learned about going out of one's way to greet someone. So the Shiyam Tziyat Ba'alacha brings down a tshuva in the Shvus Yaakov, the second volume, Simcha Beis, that says that that's only when you're talking about going to a friend. But if it's your Rebbe or someone that's your balabas, your boss of some kind at work or whatever it might be, then you may. And the Tzlach and Brachas Yadal, it also says that. And the Mishnah Berurah in 89 Peites argues and says even your father or your teacher, you're also not allowed to. Now about drinking with sugar and milk, coffee with sugar and milk. So the Mishnah Berurah in Peites 89 quotes many commentaries that say that only with sugar that was put into the coffee is what's not allowed. But I don't know if they have it these days. They used to have cubes of sugar. So in Europe, that was done a lot. That is allowed. Others say just the opposite, that putting it inside would be permitted, and the other way is prohibited. Anyway, today most people do either way. The Heishiv Moshe from the Yitzmach Moshe in his Chuvas Simin Hey says that one is allowed to eat or drink whatever it might be that he needs before davening, as long as he does it for Hashem's sake and not to sit down and all of a sudden have a party. But basically, it's okay. Just 1 more second. Here. Okay, we'll stop here. Have a great night.